Hey guys, it's a Wednesday, and I'm sure you know what that means by now, hopefully. It's comic book review time, so picked up quite a lot of books, actually, this week, and I'm gonna review them now, as the name would imply. Very good. Okay, starting with the Superior Spider-Man number 14. Here we go. This issue introduces Superior Spider-Man's new costume, which I personally think is pretty ugly, but whatever. I can't change that. But it is a really stupid costume, in my honest opinion. So this kicks off, along with the new costume, what looks like the beginning of a new arc. That was kind of hinted at the end of the last issue. Spider-Man, Superior Spider-Man, now has an army of robots and also minions. Very villain-like, actually. As you can see, he has a giant spider walker, AT-AT sort of thing, and a bunch of minions and their own mini spider AT-AT things. And he, in this issue, declares war on Shadowland, which is the Kingpin's empire, with his thousands of soldiers. And it is as it sounds, a radical departure for the character. I mean, and I saw this for the past couple of issues, but before these recent arcs, we've kind of been hinted at like what's different between Doc Ock as Spider-Man and Peter as Spider-Man. But I think this arc is really going to show us the definitive difference in terms of modus operandi, where Peter was always, always worked as much as he could within the law, within the statutes of limitations and all that, and kind of be fair. Doc Ock Spider-Man just invades places. He literally takes an army of soldiers and robots and just lays siege to Shadowland over here, and just he blows up the place. It is brutal, and to do this, he's blackmailing Jameson, who is now mayor, in order to give him the legal leeway to do such an operation. And it is crazy how ruthless Doc Ock Spidey is now, and he's willing to kill. He's really the kind of what's the word? Machiavellian way of fighting crime, which is new, and I'm not quite sure if I like it, but it makes sense for a villainous character, or an ex-villainous character like Doc Ock to do. And you know what? It's way more interesting than we've seen in a lot of recent superhero books. It's a huge shakeup, and keeping in mind that this isn't Peter Parker, it's not all that bad either. And now we get to see the consequences of a very ruthless Spider-Man, and how that affects how his villains react, which looks like what we're going to get next issue, where we see a big blowback from a big Spider-Man villain, due to the actions that Doc Ock Spidey took in this issue. So, I don't know, I think it's a very interesting setup. I'm going to keep reading it. And it is a good place to hop on, I guess, new costume and all that. So next up we have Hawkeye Annual Number 1, and like the other recent Hawkeye books I've reviewed lately, this one has nothing to do with Clint Barton, but instead is Kate's adventure. Issue 11 was, of course, about Pizza Dog. Issue 12 was about Clint's brother, and now we have the issue that is all about Kate. So, in Pizza Dog, in issue 11, at the very end, we saw that Kate took Pizza Dog and is going away. And so, in this issue, we see where she's going, and it turns out that she's going to LA. But, as you can probably tell on the cover, Madame Mask has plans for her there. And this issue, not to spoil too much, is all about Kate's adventures in LA while she's being hunted by Madame Mask. And she gets in her own very Hawkeye-esque trouble in this issue. And while the art, I mean, it's not the... I wouldn't say it's up to snuff, per se, compared to David Aja, or Aja, however he likes his name pronounced. It's a little too simple for my tastes. But it does get the job done, and the thought bubbles are thoroughly entertaining, because the thought bubbles all have their own little emotions, and yeah, it's a very, I don't know, like, the writing is still superb, still some of the best writing in comics right now, and we really see, you know, Kate on her own for one of the, I guess not one of the first times, but like majorly on her own in a completely different place from Clint and with Pizza Dog, and very entertaining. But I really do want to see what Clint's up to now. It's like I love all the side character stuff. I love this annual. Pick it up. But I hope issue 13 gets back with Clint to see how he's handling with all of these changes. Because after all, he is kind of the main character of the book. So next up, we have Superman. I almost said Spider-Man again. Superman, issue 22, which continues the... How many issues has it been going on now? The too long arc with Hector Hammond and now Hive. Mostly Hector Hammond. So Hector basically takes full control of Hive at this point. He's basically become MODOK. Big head and army at his disposal and all. Meanwhile, Superman kind of is really fucking useless throughout this whole thing. And you have Hector taking over Hive. You have the former leader of Hive escaping and planning something we don't quite know yet until the end of the issue. And I won't really spoil it. But until then, Superman's just kind of flying around, goes over to Jimmy Olsen's place, has a talk about Jimmy Olsen, with Jimmy Olsen. And then the end of the issue happens. Superman is paralyzed by a psionic attack, and then gets kidnapped by the leader of Hive, so she can use him in her plans to do something very big, but we're not quite exactly sure what, but it involves a big Superman villain who's already made an appearance in the new DC New 52. So, and I think I might have said this last week. The biggest reason I continue to read Superman is because it is Superman. Like, I'm really reading it off the strength of the character rather than the writing. I mean, I said this last week too. I'm not really a huge fan of Scott Lobdell. Really, he gets the job done. And that's about it. And I don't know. Really not much to say about it. So moving on to a comic I do have something to say about. Aquaman, issue 22. Part, what is it, 4. Yes, part 4 of this arc, involving the return of the first king of Atlantis. So in the last issue, things really picked up. We got a kind of a three-pronged story. We have Arthur going to rescue Mira in Xanth, I think it's pronounced. Let me check. Zebel. Sorry, Zebel. Yeah, I think Xanth is Xenoblade, isn't it? Yeah. So in Zebel, we have Arthur rescuing Mara in Zebel. We have I forgot their names, but some Atlanteans, some rogue Atlanteans trying to rescue Orm from Bel Rev. And we have the Scavenger waging war on Atlantis. And this is all happening at the same time, which is pretty bad. So the majority of this issue is Arthur fighting the first king and really getting his butt handed to him. He does manage to rescue Mira, but doesn't really help much. I mean, we're not getting much about the War on Atlantis. We have Volko escaping. And we have the Scavenger sitting on the throne of Atlantis and declaring himself the new king. And we have the Atlantean rebels getting ever so closer to rescuing Orm. But again, this is more build-up, which I thought we would climax in this issue, but it's still more build-up. And I don't know. Not much to say. I mean, since the reboot, Aquaman has had some of the longer arcs in the New 52. And, I mean, I do like Jeff Johns, usually. I love his writing. But I think if this arc doesn't finish spectacularly, I think just for the sake of my wallet, I'm going to have to kind of just stop reading it. I mean, it started off as one of the best comics in the reboot, but I don't know. It's just the pacing has not kept up really. Pacing is a bit slow, and kind of they keep on, opening questions, but we're not getting that many answers, and I don't think we're gonna get all of them in this arc, and I just don't know. I just don't know. More setup. Hopefully, it climaxes next issue. Otherwise, that's really bad for the pacing. So that's all I really got to say about it. Moving on to a comic that goes really fast, appropriately. The Flash, which I think has the best cover this week. I'm just going to say it does. I really enjoy this cover. Very striking. Got the red, the yellow, the flash, boom. And of course, this one was a bit tricky. They hide the words, the flash, in every issue, and they hit it really well here. I mean, with the glare, it's a bit harder to see. But it's in the clothing, and the clothing up top, you see the, and then the building is the background, spell out flash. So good on you. That was a very well hidden one. And here, I mean, this has been one of the longer arcs in the Flash series too, but I think just comparing it to Aquaman, this is going way faster. It's opening fewer questions at a time, and there's still only like one big thing happening. And it's just easier to follow, really. And then at the end, we get a bigger payoff. So Flash has been kind of chasing Reverse Flash this whole time, trying to learn more about him. And by the end of this issue, we have Flash and Reverse Flash right there. And we know, and they're fighting for the first time. And at the end, we have a good cliffhanger, good way to get us, pumped up for the next issue. So, I mean, Flash, definitely one of the better comics, one of the best. I'd say top 5 in DC's lineup right now. And issues like this are exactly like, are exactly why. I mean, it's one of the longer ones, like I said, but it has excellent pacing, excellent writing, excellent characterization, excellent art. So pick up The Flash. If you're not reading it by now, definitely start. Pick up the trades. One of the best books. So, continuing from that, we have Batman, The Dark Knight. And really all the Batman books, I guess, as they kind of should, are blending together now. So this one starts off with Gordon monologuing more about how much Gotham has taken away from him, his wife, Barbara's legs, his son most recently. And it's the start of a new arc for the Dark Knight book. And it involves Clayface, who was previously in Snyder's Batman for a mini two-issue arc. He's got some big stuff planned now. We're still not quite sure what, because it is a detective comic, because Batman's a detective. And, but yeah, we got, like I said, first issue, lots of setup, lots of kind of just opening doors right now. But still lots of action. We get a Batman Clayface fight, really short, but still good. We get a lot of action with Jim Gordon. Jim Gordon has been kidnapped by Clayface. I don't think that's too much of a spoiler. And he is one resourceful son of a bitch. Which is pretty great. And we get a lot of Batman and Alfred, of Bruce and Alfred in the Batcave. Alfred's like, you know, kind of just doing what he does with Bruce, trying to keep him in line, keep him honest. And Bruce is like, I know what I'm doing, I'm Batman. And Alfred's like, you know, sometimes you're kind of crazy. And I was like, no, I'm Batman. But, yeah, I mean, Gordon builds his a ghetto bat signal, which is great. And then at the end we have, and it's a very self-contained first issue to the arc. Batman and Gordon escape, and Clayface is still at large. So, yeah, good, better than Aquaman, which I didn't think I would ever really say, but there you go. Moving on to Batman Superman issue 2. Continuation of the arc started off in issue 1, and we kind of find out a little more. Not really. Well, we find out where Batman went. In the first issue, Superman met an older Batman, a different universe Batman, as we find out in this issue, and we find here that Batman is transported to the Batcave, but not his Batcave. The Batcave, as we find out in this, of Earth 2. So we figure that the mysterious glowy thing that took control of Catwoman last issue is messing with dimensions, and not warping them in time, but through the dimensions. So we have Superman at the beginning, Superman still dealing with Earth 2 Batman, who is completely unfamiliar to him. And then we have Batman from Earth 1 going to the Earth 2 Batcave, and as Batman does, he kind of pieces it together a lot faster. He realizes that he's in an alternate dimension, and he's just taken a lot smarter. Meanwhile, Earth 1 Superman kind of has everything explained to him by Earth 2 Superman, who drops in with a boom. And we have some cool Batman versus Batman action. And, yeah. I mean, this arc's really shaping up. We still don't know the motives behind the big glowy thing, but we're getting introduced to characters very rapidly. And, of course, we already know who they are, so it's not like they have to put a lot of exposition behind it. We get some fighting, which is cool. We get some emotion with Earth 1 Clark meeting Earth 2 Clark's parents and them accepting him as the Kents are to do. And then at the end, we get some Wonder Woman action. And I won't spoil what she does, but she does... Oh, well, you kind of see it in the bottom there. Sorry about that. But she stabs someone. And it's neat. So we got Earth 2... We got the Earth 2 Trinity, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. And we have the Earth 1... Or, no, Earth 1 is the... Well, whatever, the Earth standard. I'm going to call it Earth 52. Whatever. Bruce and Clark. Kind of wondering what this... Why are they... Where are they? What is this alternate dimension? Why does the glowy lady want them there? What's happening? So still not a lot of answers, but a lot of new stuff, a lot of new variables, and it's all very interesting, all very well done. The art, of course, by Jai Lee is fantastic. I don't think I have to say that. And he does do the whole issue this time, which is nice. And, yeah, I'd keep reading for now. It's looking good. Looking very good. Which brings us now to Justice League Dark, issue 22, and the third part of Trinity War. So last we left off, Superman was in Argus. He was being held captive after killing Dr. Light, and everyone is trying to figure out why or what. If it was Superman at all, was he being mind controlled? At the end of last issue, we had the Question make his appearance, and at the beginning of this issue, shit really begins to hit the fan. Wonder Woman Also, in last issue, Wonder Woman reached out to Justice League Dark, so we find out what happens there. Apparently, the Phantom Stranger comes along, boom, says, "Whoa, stop Wonder Woman before she does something stupid." So Batman and a chunk of the Justice League go off to do that. Meanwhile, Wonder Woman does meet Justice League Dark and is like, "Whoa, you guys are magic, tell me what's going on." Constantine is like, "Okay, whatever," after, being a smartass. And then he runs off with Shazam. We'll find out where in the next book. Little slight spoilers. So we have Constantine and Shazam running off with each other. And then at the end, then during this book, we have the Justice League, everyone that went with Batman, basically splitting into factions. We have the Wonder Woman faction who wants to find Pandora and, find out what's the deal with Pandora's box. And we have the Batman faction who goes with Phantom Stranger and is like, "No, this has nothing to do with Pandora right now. This is something to do with something else." Then we have the people who broke out of Superman, broke out of Argus, because the Question basically told him to. And he's trying to figure out what's happening. We got a hint it might be mind control. Really, this is kind of, as all these big crossover events eventually do, this one's kind of spiraling into many different places very quickly. But so far it's all entertaining. It's very actiony. I don't know. I'm kind of drawing comparisons with Aquaman here, in that we're basically mid-arc, and things are just continue to spiral, which I guess, like I said, makes sense for these sorts of crossovers. But hard to keep track of everyone. Really is getting hard to keep track of everyone. But hey, it's a big crossover event, so you're probably reading it if you're catching up, if you're reading DC anyway. So it's not the worst one so far. So now the last book of the week, and it's a tie-in to Trinity War, Constantine issue number 5. See, it says Trinity War tie-in, and here we see what Shazam and Constantine went up to do when they left mid-comic in Justice League Dark. And it turns out Constantine is all like, "Hey, Billy Batson, I know who you are. You can't control this power. I'm kind of curious." Batson's like, "Okay, I trust you, British man." As implied on the cover, Constantine takes Shazam's powers. They get attacked by a demon. They have a scuffle. Shazam gets his powers back. Nothing is really accomplished or solved. We just kind of are told again that Shazam has something to do with this. And Constantine... Well, we have... Constantine, let's just say, is probably going to be out of commission for the rest of Trinity War. But hey, Shazam's back, kind of. Kind of an uneventful issue. Kind of just setting up for the next Constantine arc, probably. Which I guess, you have to do some way while still tying into this big event. I'd skip it. So that's it for this week. I'm glad I kept this video under an hour. Hardy, hardy, hard. I didn't have to review a month's worth of comics this week. But, yeah. So there you go. That's all the comics I read. Most of them enjoyable. Some not so much. But, what are you going to do other than, I guess, keep reading and handing them your money? So, see you next week.